start working on scrunchies from our scraps. You may actually recognize some of the fabrics that I'm working on because they're former projects. Such an easy, fast little project. It's a great way to do it, and you can make so many cute ones out of very little fabric. So my preferred size is 3 inches wide by 22 to 23 inches long. Not all of mine are going to be that length, and I'm just, whatever length I had, that's at least twice my, you can see they're not quite all the same, and that's fine. Any lightweight woven or knit, you recognize this fabric? One of my favorite new little t-shirts, will work fine. You're also going to need a 1/4 inch elastic. I, like on these dark ones, I tend to put black elastic in, but it doesn't really matter. And you're going to need a 9-inch strip per scrunchie. So if you want your fabric to be no shorter than about 20 inches, if you have a 9-inch strip of elastic and you have 18 inches or less scrunchie fabric, it doesn't scrunch up enough. So longer is fine. You just don't want to go too short. You're just not going to get a good scrunch. It's not going to look as cute. So the first thing I did after I cut out my nice strips is on each short end, I've turned under about 1/4 inch. And I assembly line it. I'm making all of these scrunchies. I have 5 fabrics here, and all 5 of them I've turned under. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine. I have black thread on there right now, and I'm going to sew up my 2 black ones, switch to white thread, and I'll sew up the 3 light colored ones with white. So to the sewing machine. I'm just straight stitching down. I have a 1/4 inch turned under, and I'm straight stitching a little less than 1/4, about 1/8. I can see my 1/4 inch mark, and I'm making sure that I'm on the inside of that. We'll just do a quick straight stitch on each end. A project where you don't have to be super precise also, which is kind of nice, at least on this little section. If you have someone who's a very beginner sewer, or sewist, the thing with the word sewer is when you spell it out, it looks like sewer. Not my favorite. Okay, so I'm going to trim up my little threads. I have these 2 finished along the edge, and we're going to now fold it long ways, just like this, and stitch 1/4 inch. So right sides together, put in a few pins if you need to, and we're going to stitch it. So I'm going to go ahead and do my cactus one first. Right sides together. So there's an opening here, and it's finished because we stitched it. Set it at 1/4 inch, and I'm using my nice 1/4 inch foot to make it easy. Now I'm doing these 3 inches wide. If you want one of those super scrunchies, you can go 5 inches or even wider. Some people like those great big full scrunchies. That's great. You just have to have enough scrap fabric to do it with. If you were going to make a whole bunch of these, 1/4 yard will make easily 4 to 8 scrunchies, depending on how wide you make them. Let's say you're making everyone for Christmas little matching pajamas out of cute little Christmas fabric. Pick up a little bit of soft, lightweight fabric like this. You can do it out of fleece, but fleece is so heavy. But pick up a fun little Christmas fabric, and you can make everybody scrunchies to go in their Christmas stockings. All right, I'm going to go ahead and assembly line all of these, and then I'm going to show you the next step. I have my 2 strips that I'm sewing in the black thread. Give them a quick haircuts, and now we need to turn them around, flip them inside out, and the easiest way is to take a safety pin, and I'm going to just put the safety pin through like this. So the safety pin, you can see it kind of can move around, and I'm going to just push the head of the pin down inside. And I'm going to, sort of like what you do for elastic, but we're just going to be using it to turn it around. Be gentle, but you can see it's already starting to turn around. And once you get that first end down on the inside, it pulls through pretty easily. This is the time-consuming part, is just turning all your tubes. And you can see I'm almost finished pushing it through. This is a really old fabric. This was a Hobby Lobby fabric from years and years ago. All right, I've got it turned around like that, and you can see how it looks kind of crumply right now. We'll go ahead and take our safety pin off. And at this point, I highly recommend flattening it out and giving it a good pressing so that you have this seam edge along the edge like this and just pressing it nice and flat. So I'm going to turn the other one and press both of these, and we'll be right back for the elastic. We're pressed. I'm now going to take my little 9-inch strip of elastic, grab my safety pin again. I'm going to put one end, and we're going to just fish our elastic through. You know, you can see how skinny mine are. You can definitely make them bigger. These are only 3-inch wide strips. A 4-inch wide strip would add a 1/2 inch. 5-inch wide strip would add a full inch, so it'll be almost double this if you want a really wide one. Okay, I'm going to just put it in one end and start fishing it through. Now I don't want my end to fall in, my other end, so I'm going to actually, when I get in a little ways, I'm going to pin it down so it doesn't disappear. So I want my tail hanging out. So just going to put a pin to keep it in place, pinning through the elastic so it can't go anywhere on that end. And I'm just going to keep fishing till I get to the other end. And we are through. So there's our elastic. You can see there it is all scrunched up. One of the things you really want to try to do is keep your scrunchie from twisting. We don't want it to twist around our elastic. It's kind of important. It will make a difference in how it looks when you're done. So now I have my 2 ends, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm holding on to them tight so I don't lose one on the inside. Pull out my safety pin. I'm going to take my straight pin. Just going to move the fabric down. I'm going to overlap that elastic, put a pin in it to hold it, and we're going to stitch our elastic to itself. So this is how it looks right now. And I'm going to turn my machine on so the light changes. The machine has such bright lights. I've dimmed the lighting. It has, I forget how many, there's loads of lights all underneath here, which is so wonderful when I'm sewing, but on the camera, it kind of causes some problems. So you can zigzag this bit right here. I'm going to set it under the machine. You can see it better down here now. Or straight stitch it. I'm just going to straight stitch back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We don't want it to come apart. So once I have my needle sunk through both layers of elastic, I can remove my pin. That noise is what my machine makes when I turn it on and it takes its first stitch. So we're just going to let it straight stitch, back stitch, and we're just going to do this a couple times, kind of covering these 2 little tails so that they're really good and covered, and they go back good. And we want to make sure, I'm going to even go this direction a little bit. All right, pull this off, give some haircuts. Whoop, that one's still attached. All right, so now what I have, so that's how it looks. So when I let go, it already looks like a scrunchie. So at this point, some people just leave it like this with a little hole. I don't like that. So this is where I come back with my hand stitching, and I'm going to hand stitch it together. But like everything else, if I'm making a whole bunch of the same thing, I'm going to go ahead and do the same steps. I'm going to put the elastic in and do this one, and then I'll be ready to hand stitch. So let me get this one put together, and then I'll show you the handwork on this one. Ready for handwork, and I found, I just love when these things happen, but this is where I'm going to be doing where I'm joining the 2 ends together, and look at that. My pattern actually just matches up. I just love it when that happens. So I've threaded a needle. There we are. Put on my glasses. I'm just going to pull my needle through. I've got a knot on one end, like this, to hide my knot. I don't like my knots to be shown. And there's no perfect way to do this. You can whip stitch it. I'm not going through all 4 layers, okay? See, there's 4 layers here. And I'm only going through these 2, not hitting the elastic or anything. So the top 2 layers are getting sewn to each other, and I'm just going to kind of whip stitch around in a circle. And because my threads match, for the most part, you're not even going to really see these stitches. You don't want to pinch and make a ridge. You want it to lay flat. And this is just to keep the elastic from showing when you pull and you wrap this around your hair. If you don't sew your 2 ends together, your elastic, you can actually pull the ends apart and the elastic will show. No, we don't want that. So I'm just going to pick. I'm picking from the wrong side, hitting just the little fold of the other side and going around. And this just takes seconds. There we go. Now I'm going to flip to the other side. Here you can see that's where it's open. And I'm just pushing one side inside the other slightly and picking up on the bottom layer and going through the loop. And you just want to keep those 2 really close together. It might be a little easier to see because I'm on the pink against black. And we're just almost all the way around. This one's almost completely done. You want your stitches pretty close together. You can kind of see, now that I'm all pink with the little black threads, you can see it a little better. On the black one with the cactuses, it'll be very hard to see the threads of my hand stitching. All right, we're around. Just need to make a couple more stitches to make it secure and tie off my knot. So when I tie off a knot, I'm just going to go back in, make sure I have it good and tight right there where it started. So here's my excess thread, and I'm going to go in right next to where the thread came out. I'm kind of making a little loop, and then I'm going to take my needle through that loop twice, just making a knot. And then when I turn my threads off, you won't even see it. All right, I have a completed scrunchie. There it is. One scrunchie. I like a pretty big scrunchie because I have a whole lot of hair, and a lot of rubber bands are too tight. Like, I can get them around twice, but I can't get the 3rd time to make it tight. I always struggle with rubber bands and hair clips and stuff because I have thick hair. For me, this is pretty good size. If you're doing this for small kids, little kids or somebody with really fine hair, this is 9-inch elastic. Go shorter, go to 7-inch elastic, and it'll be a tighter, and it may work better for their hair. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the handwork on this one. I'm going to make the others, and I'll show you all of them finished up. I'm done. I made 5 little scrunchies, all this close to the same size. In the time it took me to listen to one podcast, so about 45 minutes, I cut out, sewed, and even did the filming for this, all 5 of these little cute little scrunchies. So fast, fun, easy project that anybody can do. And there we are.